You guys have the double XL with that metal panel right here. It's a good place to put this rubber magnet for storage. That way if you need it, you can hang it on a panel, keep your bag off the wet floor if it's raining. Then I also put one of these catch-alls magnetic for the screws. So all I had was a walk-in cooler that was down. We had to top it off. I didn't have time to do a leak check today. It looked like it had been worked on recently, or at least it had been worked on at some point, but I don't know if the charge wasn't all in there, because we did drop under 50 or around 50. So I didn't have enough for that, like the weather. It was just short cycling. So I put in a little bit of refrigerant. That one took 407C. Got it back up to where it should be, more or less. You know, I didn't have time to do a full, you know, dive into it and all that, like check the receiver level or anything like that. Didn't see any major leaks or any oil, so I'm not gonna worry about it today. I told them we can schedule a leak test because I'm about to go through with the leak detector and just kind of take off all the panels and see what we're losing. If we're losing, I don't know if it wasn't charged right, so we'll see. Topped it off, they'll run it like that. I just needed like a pound or so. Then they had a R290 under counter cooler, I believe that one was. They told me on the way out if I could look at it. I did not have a request, so I was not able to actually touch it, so to speak. But I have already seen enough to know that those things are leaking. A lot of R290 evap coils leak. So just went in there real quick with my top test leak detector, and it sniffed it out, gave me that verification that I wanted, so that I could tell them, you know what, once I do get the email in or the request that comes through, I'll just quote you out a new evap coil, and we'll come back, you know, ready to put it in and deal with that, instead of going back to do a troubleshooting and then going back again once we order the part. So I told them I already kind of know what it is, so let me just quickly look for it. So this worked really well on a small, I want to say the thing is under 10 ounces of R290, and it is leaking. It leaked out because it's not cooling. So that little thing picked it up relatively easy, and it even told me what side it was on. So I was worried that it wouldn't pick up, you know, ounces or minimal ounces on a R290 system, but it actually did. So that's kind of cool. And I have another call. So most of my day is traveling. I had to drive 2 hours or so to get back to where I was and a little further, so I can get to my next call. They have a make line cooler, which is basically a prep cooler where they prep their food, make all that, and then serve it out. They said it just turned off. So let's see what happened. usually let this air out. I take it apart so that all the water can come out. Just because when I put it in the pack out, that's an airtight seal, so you're gonna end up getting like condensation and stuff, especially with the weather outside. So letting the air out, letting your water trickle out, and I'm gonna go finish up. And how cool is this light, man? Harbor Freight light. So this is the Icon. It's like a switchblade light. I will have a video out very soon on all the flashlights that I use and the ones that I recommend. I have two that I think are gonna be my top go-to on the daily. And it's all about, for me, it's all about functionality, multi-use, and compact. Like, how easy is it to carry? Is it rechargeable? Is it bright enough? Because this thing is, I believe, 800 lumens. So I think that's plenty bright. So yeah, that's cool. All right, so that was an electrical issue. I've already had a bunch of those where it's burnt up switches. Now I could go in with an original rocker. I think that would help, because somebody else went and put these switches that go in the front. They should be able to handle the load, but you know, they run 24/7 sometimes, so they do shut them off at night, so they're the ones that flick it on and off, and that's why sometimes I'll notice that it's not coming on when they turn it back on. But what I did find was a lot of loose wire nuts. Like, they put too many strands on one, and a lot of the strands were like just barely touching at the bottom, like they weren't even. So I fixed as much as I could with that. I would have to rewire a lot of it to get it neater and not as cluttered. And then I did find another one that I repaired the wiring to. I removed all the burnt wire and put in new wire. And when I was doing that, I noticed that the wire nuts were too big too. So I had to downsize on one of them. So I think a lot of loose connections together with that plugged up condenser coil, it's going to overheat. Your wires are going to get too hot, and it's going to start melting everything. So got that going for them. A little electrical repair with some cleaning. So you can't overlook a dirty coil on any kind of call. Burnt wires, I still look at the coil, put a flashlight to it, and it was filthy. It was coming out real bad. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw it. So that's it for that. Turned everything back on. It worked great. It was cooling already. It's already satisfied. Not that big of a deal. So yeah, I think some guys have asked me in my live stream, how many calls do I run? Honestly, I average about 3 a day or 4, and then like 5 or 6 on a good day if I'm like close to all of them. Just because we service a big area, 2 hours each way. So like I said, I came from one of them, one of the further ones, almost like the second furthest one we have, going west. I came from that one to our kind of like center area that we service, so that was almost 2 hours, and that takes up a lot of time as my driving. So I don't average 10 calls. I average about 3 to 4 and 5 to 6 on a good day. If they're really quick, I might get some more in, but normally this is the quickest, like where I'm doing a repair, maybe doing a cleaning, and then moving on to the next one. But most of the time it's travel, it's diagnosing and taking the time to like really look at everything, and then doing a proper repair. Because like refrigeration, you're doing you're recovering refrigerant, you're weighing it in, you're checking your superheat, checking the temperatures here and there, and all that stuff takes time. So we have as long as the weather's good, we have a change out to do tomorrow. So maybe I'll bring you guys along for a quick video on that, and we can end it there. We'll see, unless something else comes up. simple plaza. I parked a little too far. They got one AC and one walk-in. It's not on. God, I hate these. Should be on. Defrost. Yeah, I think we're good. Shit. Alright, so let's change that out. I'm going to go with a mechanical again, but we're going to use that capillary sensing bulb that we can position where we want. That way we get a good reading and we can be done with that. Alright, let's put our light up. And we'll get that changed out. Yeah, so originally I suspected the thermostat, so we changed that out. It was in the 40s already and it wasn't coming back on, and I had it set, I think, to 30. The capillary on that one is going to be that pigtail one. Those are kind of hard to use in that kind of walk-in where it's the fans on the bottom and you're just putting it on the panel. If it's on a, had it been on the back panel, maybe, but it was in an awkward position, and it looked like they tried to force it out to read or extend it out a little bit. The range was like very off. The dial was very hard to turn. So we changed it. Not super proud of how I had to mount it. I was working with what they had. I didn't want to drill and extend or run new wires today. I offered to come back and clean it up if they want us to do like maintenance. So I just mounted it to where it went. The capillary, I held it down with zip ties, made sure it wasn't rubbing out on anything. The copper wasn't touching any metal. The zip ties, I run a zip tie through wherever I'm gonna anchor it to, and then another zip tie through that, so that they're linked instead of having the copper on the metal. Just really trying to avoid any breaks, rub outs, or anything like that. And I put it where the fan is because that's your return. So on these evaporators, I've mentioned it plenty of times, the fan is sucking up air and throwing it out through the coil on the sides, on top. So that's going to be the easiest, quickest place to put my sensing bulb so that it cycles correctly and doesn't take too long to cut in or out. So we had it down to like 33, 34, cutting in around 38, 38.9. So I'm happy with that. It worked. It dropped really quick. It went on and off real quick. Their digital display on the outside is not reading correctly. When I got here, it was like at 45, which at that point it wasn't working, but it was in the 40s inside, so I didn't think about it until I turned the thermostat down and I dropped it down to 25 degrees, and it only went down to like 41 on the display. So I told him to keep an eye on that. It's probably not going to go under. That thing's probably out of range. I did pick up the sensor because it was like hanging on almost on the floor. Picked it up, coiled it up and tried to zip tie it there, but it's out of range. I let it run for a couple times back and forth between 33 and 38, and the lowest it got was like 42, 41. And I told them just to make sure they're going to go inside and check all the they have like 3 thermometers inside. So I was like, if you're not sure about it, go inside and check your thermometer. All of them were 33 or 34. And I didn't want to spend too much time here because I do have another call on a reach-in. So I'm gonna go to our hospital location and do that now. All right, so we made it to the hospital. Hence, they said it's a 2-door cooler, I think, by the walk-in. They're not numbered or anything, so I have to see which one it is. So they said it wasn't temping right or something, so we'll see. All right, so these are these plastic mini blades. I used to carry them, or I had extras, and I had like those C-frame motors that go with it, like in a kit, and they came with different blades. I don't have any on me right now because I haven't worked on those in the longest time. So I'm gonna go see if we have any at our warehouse, but I won't make it back today. It's already the end of the day. They're okay with it. They already had emptied it out. They had it unplugged when I got there, so like I said, they emptied it out. They didn't have any product to worry about. So I told them I'll be back in the morning with a new blade. I'll take a look at the other one. If I have to buy them, I'll buy extra, but if the other blade looks bad, you know, we'll change it out too, just so we can take care of it before it messes up. And that's it. If I get the blade and I film how I put it on, I'll put that up for tomorrow. All right, so this is the one that I needed. I thought I had some in the shop, but it's not going to be the same rotation, so did not get lucky there. But they did have a couple at the supply house at Johnstone. I took the last 2. So Subco comes in clutch. These are the ones that I need. Same size, same direction. These are the 5-inch blades. Fucking engineering, guys. They took everything out, jumped it out. Still doesn't have a blade. All they needed was a damn blade. Alright, so I got the blade on. I'm gonna go talk to. So they went ahead and told me to do whatever I needed to do. Now I'm gonna end up replacing the C-frame motor because the old one would not catch any of the blades. So we're just gonna put the new blade on, be done with it. Now on these specifically, is the one that we're using. It's universal. It does tell you that it is counterclockwise at shaft end, so that's this side. If you need it the other way, which I am going to need it reversed, these you just kind of like take them apart. You take off the nut on the back. You have this side that you're just going to like basically reverse it and then put it back in and put the back back on. And then put the nuts back on.